The coaching world in the NFL can be a cruel one and sometimes a very, very cynical one. But that is the life of a coach. And so there are 5 candidates, I believe, who could be on the chopping block if things don't necessarily go their way this season. And the bar is obviously a little higher and a little bit lower for some. But one thing is very, very clear. These guys need to show some improvement going into this season, or else they might be looking to polish up the resume a little bit more. So let's dive in to the coaches on the hot seat for the 2025 NFL season. Never fun to talk about people maybe losing their job, but I mean, I've been laid off before and people talked about that, and some were even happy about it. So I think I get to now. These are the 5 coaches who I think are on the hot seat going into this NFL season. I think the first one's pretty obvious to everyone. It's Michael McDaniel with the Miami Dolphins. He is supposed to be the offensive guru, but their offense really struggled last year. And a couple of years ago, you could blame injuries and all of that. The concussion concern is always going to be there with him because of just the frequency of all of those. And we just talked about it on the baseball thing with Springer. Like, once that button's been pushed, it is easier to push it again. And it gets more and more scary each time. And it's tough to get more scary than what we saw with Tua in that game against Buffalo. But I still do think you have to run a competent offense. And if you cannot run a competent offense with that guy as your quarterback, then you can't have him as your quarterback anymore. And for Michael McDaniel, that would probably be a difficult decision to make. But I think his job is pretty obviously on the line. And the tough part is the division, I think, has got a bit more difficult. We just talked in the breakout players that there is the potential for a couple Buffalo Bills to elevate their status and move into some pretty good company in terms of the offensive side of things anyway. The New York Jets, I do think, got better this offseason by adding Justin Fields at quarterback over Aaron Rodgers. So and you have New England, who, like, just natural progression of Drake May, they're going to be better. And they have added a couple of pieces, whether it be through the draft or in free agency, that are significant upgrades over what they had a season ago. So this is going to be a difficult season for Miami. And I don't know if it's playoffs or bust, but this offense needs to look good. This offense needs to look dangerous again, or Mike McDaniel is going to be out of a job. Up next, it is Zac Taylor with the Cincinnati Bengals. I don't think that any of the struggles in Cincinnati are his fault. I think that it is almost entirely roster construction instead of a coaching deficiency or anything along those lines. But it is on Taylor to try to get the most out of this roster, and they now are going to be in a cap pinch basically forever, giving out the big money to Burrow and to Chase and to T. Higgins. So, yes, it would probably be beneficial if they had any offensive lineman who could block for their franchise quarterback, but they don't. So it's on Taylor to try to go out and fix this thing. Again, I'm not saying this is justified. I don't think he's a bad coach. I don't think he's an awesome coach, but I don't think he's bad. And I just think, though, that he is probably going to take the blame if this is another season with a franchise quarterback that is, we just listed him as one of the 10 best players in the NFL. It's going to be another year of missing the playoffs, and it might be another coach going into Cincinnati. If you want to help support Couch Potato Diary, what you're doing now is perfect, and thank you so much. Whether it is following or just watching on any of the platforms that we are on, a huge shout out to Deeds, who is now 18 months as a subscriber over on twitch.tv/primetimepk. But if you want to help me out and the dogs or the dog and cat's insatiable treat habits, there is a tip link in the description of every video and every podcast that we put up. Plus, as a panel on Twitch and Kick, anything would help. But again, not required, not expected, but would be greatly appreciated. 3 more coaches that could be on the hot seat and trying to set up tip links of their own for next season. Brian Daboll. I don't know how fair this one is because I don't think he has been given a good roster to succeed with at all. But it's New York, and they got whooped on last year. You can't go 2 years in a row of getting whooped on. Coaches don't survive multiple seasons like that. So the best thing for the Giants is, I mean, it's twofold. It's all at the quarterback spot. It is either Russell Wilson has been able to lead this team to victory and they're actually a playoff team, or Wilson's kind of mid, but Dart comes in and shows some progression. That would save him his job. I think the general manager, Shanahan, he is certainly on the hot seat, but I think with him probably would go Brian Daboll. Now, if Daboll leaves New York, I think that there is a very real opportunity that he lands on his feet very quickly. I think this is a really good offensive mind that just has not been given basically any tools to work with as an offensive head coach. And the fact that he's been able to get anything out of these guys is quite impressive. But again, that's not how the industry works. And AJ Druid messaging in on Twitch, New York is brutal. Absolutely. I mean, however you want to take that comment, whether it is the media landscape that is brutally difficult on guys, or if you just want to look at the football team, that's a bad roster. And unfortunately for him, he is tasked with getting 150% out of that group. And that still might put them in fourth in their division. So we'll see what he can do. Up next is Brian Callahan, the coach with the Tennessee Titans. The development of Cam Ward is going to be huge this year. Because last year, you could just, Will Levis sucked. So not much I could do with that one. But he was kind of supposed to be a bit of a quarterback guru coming in here. And so if Cam Ward has a Caleb Williams season, then I think Brian Callahan's getting fired. He needs Cam Ward to develop into a legitimate number one option very, very quickly. And I don't think he is as talented as Caleb Williams, certainly not at this point in Caleb Williams' development. But there's a lot of pressure, I think, on Callahan. Again, it's not often you get the number one overall pick and then survive another bad season. Unless there's some obvious signs of growth here, I think the Tennessee Titans are going to be looking for another new coach and wondering why they replaced Mike Vrabel. And then Kyle Shanahan is the last one. I understand, great offensive mind, bordering on brilliant offensive mind, but last year was really, really bad with this group. And I just wonder if this is another year that goes sideways in a remarkably winnable NFC West. And with the easiest schedule, according to Super Bowl odds or win projections or anything, the easiest schedule in the National Football League, if this year doesn't end with a playoff spot in San Francisco, I think there are going to be calls for Kyle Shanahan's job. So that one does feel like the most out there, but if it's a bad season again, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that this guy is looking for another job going into the 2026 season. So those are the 5 coaches that I think are on the hot seat heading into this year. Obviously, people have varying different interests when it comes to sports talk or whatever you are looking for from this podcast. And one of the things I enjoy about this podcast is we cover a lot of ground. But if you only want the wrestling stuff, which there is going to be a little bit of in this stream in just a little bit, there is a new wrestling podcast from Couch Potato Diary. It is called Living Room Lariat. It's going to have all the wrestling content we have on here, plus some original stuff and exclusive stuff that is not going to be on the flagship podcast. So Living Room Lariat, wherever you get your podcast. If you only want the wrestling stuff, it's going to be all in one very convenient spot for you. And you can get that on Spotify or anywhere else that you get your podcasts.